What up, YouTube? It's your boy, Detroit Love, with another video. Today, I'm just going to go live just to talk with you guys for a brief moment about some things that's on my mind. Let's get it started. What up, what up, what up? I just wanted to come live, man. It's been a great holiday season here. I still got a week here to have off, but I hadn't really been doing a whole lot of videos, so I just wanted to just jump in here, get reacclimated with the setup and everything here. Test out this new headset I got from Christmas. And so that's all. I know I just realized my boy P Dubs is going live around the same time. So this is probably going to be short anyway, but I may jump on with him over there as well. So I came across this Couchcade by Arcade1Up, and it's just a little perplexing to me. So on the FCC website, they have this thing listed as the Atari Couchcade / PAC-Man Couchcade. So I'm assuming there's two different versions of this Couchcade. So they just did the application here. They filed it on the 23rd of this month, December 23rd, 2021. What up, everybody? Yeah, I'm gonna join P Dubs in there. I didn't realize he was going live at the same time, so this won't be long here. But I did want to get out here and say what's up to you guys. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. So, I mean, the Couchcade. I mean the Couchcade. I keep saying Couchcade because they got a lot of arcades out here that they have. And I'm just my thoughts. Now, they just announced this. They're saying that the release date is going to be in December. I'm sorry, June 21st of 2022. And they say it's a low-power communication device, a low-power communication device transmitter. So I'm assuming it's going to be wireless. And so this is nothing new to Arcade1Up. They've come out with a few, devices, and whether they've been successful or not. Now here's this HDMI game that they came out with, $20. Obviously, you can play this on your couch, right? You plug into your TV, and it comes with this little controller. They also came out with this PAC-Man and this game projector, right? $429. Hook up. It's a standalone, and it projects to the wall. They also had a few other little wacky little things, like they had this giant joystick. Obviously, you can play that in front of your couch, and then they had the Atari one. So this Couchcade is featuring this Atari game set, looks like, as well as the PAC-Man lineup. Now, is it two different devices like these, or is it all in one? So I'm just curious to you guys. What is this something you guys are interested? Are you interested in sitting on your couch and playing games, arcade games, or are you like me, where you like standing up and playing at a cabinet? Now, I just look at my history. When arcade games came out, I was a young kid, and we went to the arcades, and we played Star Wars and Asteroids and all these games, and we're really fascinated. Pac-Man came out, and then Atari said, "Hey, well, we can't really get these big cabinets in your house, so let's give you this console, the 2600, right? Atari 2600." And so they brought these arcade type games uh, in your home, but they were never really as nice as the arcade, right? They were just a little crappy, but you can play them in your house, right? Um, and so that's the progression. They gave us some arcade games, and they tried to get us to play these games at home, and that was a failure. So they went back and started making all these cabinets, more and more cabinets for us to go to the arcade. Um, but over the years, obviously consoles, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, all the way up into the modern consoles, and those are really designed to be played on your couch. And so if we look at that natural progression from arcade cabinets to the couch, is it the right direction for them to be going? Is it too soon for them to be going to that? And so I just, it had me thinking. I'm not sure what retro device I would enjoy playing sitting on the couch. Uh, I bought these cabinets because I like standing up to the cabinets and playing. I like 3/4 scale size. I've had opportunity to buy full size, have no interest. So I'm just a little perplexed by what they will offer that would blow me away to get me to go. And so it got me thinking: Are they? Do they think they've ran out of games to make on cabinets, and therefore they're trying to start moving the way that the gaming history went from the arcades to the home to the couch, right? Um, yeah, the nostalgic value is strong, um, but there's still some games out there. Are you guys missing some games that you would like to have in your arcade as a cabinet? So I looked at the top 50. Now the list of anyone's top 50 is definitely going to vary, but I took the list of what um, someone had made, and I eliminated the cabinets that, and this is pretty small. I don't know if I can make this larger. Um, Font size. And I took out the cabinets that are already available from Arcade1Up. So let's just, and so some of these, like, so the top 10, so they've pretty much ravished through the top 10 cabinets. Well, there's a final fight already. Um, so obviously we can eliminate the um, Nintendo things out of the list automatically, right? Because they're gonna not allow Arcade1Up to do those. So we just look at the only one in this particular list of top 10 that we don't have from Arcade1Up. It's a 1942. Um, yeah, and so yeah, so the good thing about the cabinets that Arcade1Up has produced, they can always re-release them like they've done, um, say with the Big Blue over the original Street Fighter. They can always take cabinets that were where there was a secondary game and make it the primary cabinet. Uh, so that's always a definitely possibility. Like for example, I love Joust, but they don't have a Joust cabinet, but they did include Joust on one of the previous cabinets. So I'm not really a shoot 'em up. I love Galaga, but these 1942 games where I call them everything but the kitchen sink shoot 'em ups. They throw so much stuff at you. I I have them uh, on my modified cabinets, because obviously other people like them. So, and we're not always buying cabinets. If we're having multiple cabinets in our home, we're not always just buying things that would appeal just to us, because obviously other people, when they come to the house, they're going to play things that you may not like. So we do kind of factor that in. But from the top 10, that leaves 1942 to be made from Arcade1Up as a standalone. But let's look at the 11 through 30. Uh, Double Dragon, I have the Double Dragon because I have the black edition from iArcade. Um, but pole position. Now I can tell you, when pole position, just the sound alone hits my ears, it takes me all the way back. It takes me way back. Um, And so I would love to have a pole position. Um, and I my arcade collection, 3/4 scale home edition boxes are. I try to be very choice and selective with things that give you different experiences. Um, I didn't like having to put my own stick artwork on that Double Dragon. That I was really surprised by. Um, but if we look at this list here, Double Dragon, I was just very popular. Pole position. Now, Punch Out, I would love to have a Punch Out. I think, that one's probably going to be a little difficult, to get the licensing, to get the, say like Mike Tyson to agree to things, or, if you're going to go with that particular version. But obviously, Mike Tyson wasn't in the original arcade version. But I would love to see a Punch Out. Um, Spy Hunter, yeah, I mean, Spy Hunter was classic. So I mean, I could easily see Spy Hunter, pole position, all on the same cabinet, right? Um, so that's a cabinet that you know, and those are stand up, right? Those weren't sit down versions. Those weren't sit down drivers. I would have thought they would have come out with those first, and then came out with the sit down ones. But it still leaves room for growth there. Arcade1Up has got me into pinball a few years back. Yeah, I mean the digital pinball definitely have encouraged me to play more pinball. When I go to the arcades, I go to the pinball section where I would have never gone to the pinball section, having not played the my modified toy shock with all of the games on it. Yeah, Punch Out I think is a natural. I think it'd be successful if they came out. So I think Punch Out definitely needs to come out. Um, Again, Spy Hunter and pole position on the same cabinet, and what other drivers? They had to give us a few games, right? At least 4 games minimum. Not sure what um, those other games would be for the driving. Cubert, I heard a lot about people uh, wanting to have a Cubert cabinet. Cubert was always one of those games that I would just occasionally put a quarter in. I knew I was going to suck at it, and I was going to fall off the edge really quickly, but I always played around with it. But that's a very distinct noise sound that would take you back for sure. Paperboy, I just was never a fan with that at the arcades, on the consoles. I just was not a big fan of Paperboy. It's a very difficult game. Bobble, uh, I've been hearing a lot about that, but that was not something I ever played. Um, and so we go into now these are, I'm going backwards in popularity. So these are this is the top 50. So these are the last of the group here. Um, so they were not as popular as the other ones on the list. Um, yeah, Cuber, you either like it or you don't. It's very niche. So this one's the most interesting to me, because again, this is at the bottom of the top 50 list, but you definitely recognize these cabinets here, and I think there's definitely a market for it. Uh, Dragon's Lair, obviously, that's been very popular, and everyone's been either getting that with iArcade. There's been rumors that Arcade1Up would be producing one. Um, so that's a natural one. So we know that's probably going to come out. 1943, again, that's down with the 1942. They can easily put those on the same cabinets. Um, yeah, so elevator action. You know, I think the 2 is horizontal, where 1 is vertical. So I would hate to have them both on the same cabinet if that's the case, at least from my memory. I was always a fan of elevator action, not 2. But that's just me. Track and field. Oh, I hated that game. It's whacking on those buttons, um, man. And I'm definitely a button smasher when it comes to fighting games. I'll tear my hands up. But uh, but but the the track and field. I was just never a fan of that. That's just too much work for that doggone game. And and I can never really get that rhythm right for that to work. So I will it appeal to people? Of course, you know, but I wouldn't be a fan. Commando, I definitely think I would like to have that. Um, and can you put some Contra? I don't know what you will mix up with Commando or not, but that seems like a natural one. Arcanoids, you know, can't say I was a real fan, but I can see that being on the cabinet with say Tetris and those type of things. So I think there's room for that. Moon Patrol, I used to love Moon Patrol. Moon Patrol in 1982, that makes sense. That's right at the birth of all the popular, when all the characters, when you was getting away from the vet, just a green graphic line games. Um, and Moon Patrol, I have that on my modified cabinet, and I'll definitely go and play that. Um, so Moon Patrol, would I want just its own cabinet being the marquee game? Hmm, I don't know. And that's the question here: are these marquee games or are these add-on games? Robotron. I used to love Robotron. It's a very difficult game, but it's a lot of fun to play. So that'd be dual joystick. There's definitely some other games you can get on that cabinet to make that fun. And again, in my in my arcade, I like those games. I love to have like a Robotron, and so that people can just walk up and only play those games that use dual sticks. That would be pretty sick. Battlezone, by far, that's one of the early games, 1980. I used to play that all the time, and so I would love to have one with the scope, right? Um, I used to play that in the CAD, computer aided design machines and automotive. We used to have different games on these big expensive uh, workstations. And Battlezone, we used to play hours of that on our break. So Battlezone, I would definitely love to have, and that's like a dual stick game too. So that would go with Robotron. So I definitely like to see a dual stick cabinet come from Arcade1Up. Popeye, um, I played a lot of Popeye. I'm not sure. It was a difficult game. It was a hard game. It didn't get a whole lot of quarters, but definitely, I got to play that. Um, Afterburner, I definitely know the game. I don't know if I played it a whole lot. Um, I would even have to look at a video just to refresh my memory on Afterburner. So the whole point of this list is, there's still some room for Arcade1Up to be adding additional cabinets to their offerings. I don't think is, in my personal opinion, I don't know that the market demand for these counter or these Couch-cade. I'm not sure where they're going with that. I mean, this thing here, not very successful. Um, that thing there, you're not going to get a whole lot of people buying those. This here, we've had over the years, you have a ton of these hook up to your computers. This is just, or to your TV. This is just wireless, as opposed to all the wired ones that we've used. Hey, what up, Adam? What up, Mike? I'm just wrapping up here, guys. I appreciate you guys stopping in. Um, just talking about their progression or inclusion of this Couchcade and what that possibly would be. How's it different than the offerings that they've already made available that weren't very successful? Um, yeah, I mean, Smash TV, Robotron, Battlezone on one cab with two players joysticks. Yeah, that would be a sick cabinet. I would get that day one. Even though I can play that on my Legends, you know, see that's the thing is there's a place for the multicade, and by far my vertical multicade that has all the popular vertical games. There's no way that doesn't exist in my arcade room. Period. to be able to play all those games, to put a real quarter, because I modified mine with a real coin door, to actually be able to put the quarter in, play any of those old school games. Awesome. I got a short list, even though there's probably 2,000 or so vertical games that's on the machine. I only display a short list because I want people to be able to walk up, pick a game, and play. And I think that's the beauty of the Arcade1Up cabinets, is that it's a short list, and ideally the controls are ideal for that series of games on that short list, right? Because a multi-cade where you got like some people have their multi-cades that have arcade games, console games, every single thing, absolutely Smash TV. It's just overwhelming. It's just overwhelming to a person. And like the at games products, with their menu interface, because they want to give you the options to do so much, it can be very overwhelming to a person that walks up and need to navigate through this more of a complex menu than you would say for Arcade1Up that just has a simple list. So yeah, I think there's a place for multi-cades, and there's definitely a place for a short list cabinet that has perfect layout of buttons and controls for that small list of games. Yeah, so I definitely want a sit-down driving cabinet that actually looks closer to a vehicle than just a bench next to a cabinet. So I'm definitely looking for that. Now, what wasn't on any of these lists were the shoot 'em up games. So obviously, there's a market for that. Now, a couple of years back, I think this was like February of 20, it might have been 2019. I think it was February of 2020. I was in downtown Detroit at one of the arcades, and just looking at all the games that this arcade, who's in the business of making money, unlike us buying these games for, some people say it's for just because they look really nice. Others say they just like playing the games. I don't play any of these games for a long, extended amount of time. I go get on, enjoy it, and then move on. But it wasn't very surprising that just about every game that I saw in this real arcade in 2020, the games that they had available for you to put your quarters in are a lot of the cabinets that Arcade1Up has already made to date. There's Super Contra there to the right. That's not on a cabinet that Arcade1Up has made to date. But so just going to this arcade, it sort of gives you a great idea of what are the games that Arcade1Up can still make, because if they're in these arcades, physical locations for people to put money into them, they wouldn't have them there if people weren't willing to put quarters in it, right? So this was a very small selection of arcade games, and most of them already has an Arcade1Up 3/4 scale version. So how much would you pay for a 3/4 scale driving cabinet? If you just want a bench, we look at the combo sets today. We have a riser and a stool in some of the kits. So that's typically the most expensive cabinet. We would expect to pay around that same amount if we just want a stool, right? Because they're basically combining the woodwork that they would have in the riser and the bench, the stool, to make this bench. So you expect to pay around that. But if you want it to look more like a vehicle, with molded wheels, things like that. So like the coin box, the coin door that they're doing now, making it molded, so it looks like a car or a vehicle. then you would get closer to probably $1,000, I would think. I'm waiting on an online racing cab. I might get Daytona 1 or 2 if they came in one cab. Yeah, and see that would be a great cabinet. Daytona, Crazy Taxi. There's a few, and because you want to be able to drive with other human beings. That's what a lot of those games were popular, was because you got to get to you got to race with another human being. Um, Whereas with the AI, is it's very limited in what they're going to be able to do. When you add the human element, then it brings that unpredictability, right? Um, a human is liable to do anything. The AI is only going to do what's on the script. Now I have the At Games ALU, the ALP, as you can see in the picture here to my right here. Um, I also have the Gamer Pro. The Gamer Pro kind of reminds me of what I would assume that a Couchcade would look like. I have a Gamer Pro, but I have the what's the Canadian company where they have the stand, Buy Stuff Store. So I have the Buy Stuff Store stand, and that's hooked up to your big TV, and you got all your controls, and you're able to play these arcade games. Um, but I don't get a whole lot of play on it now. I have that for when I have a household of people. Some people aren't going to want to come downstairs, so I can take that Gamer Pro upstairs in the living room with the 75-inch, whatever I have up there, and that gives another option for people to play the arcade games. Right? They can walk up to it, stand it. That's the way I prefer to do it. You can also take it off and put it on the footrest and play closer to the couch. You know, so I'm thinking that's got to be what the Couchcade is going to be, some type of device. Now, I'll ideally, if it's a couch, what makes it a Couchcade? If it's not exactly at the couch, right? If it's not a Couchcade, if you're away from the couch or you're standing up. So I think that the Couchcade, if I was making a Couchcade, I keep saying Couchcade, but if I was making a Couchcade, I would want to put this thing in a position where it would fold down flat and slide under the couch. And when I wanted to use it, I could slide it out, bring it up to the level that I want the controls to be while I'm sitting down and play it. That's the only thing I would think that they would do. Uh, what you got here? Something a bit more premium, like the upcoming At Games driving machine. Yep. They're gonna have to change their hardware. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of room, and they obviously have to fill out the market. What are people willing to pay? Um, I think minimum it's going to be $1,000, especially with the prices of what the games are going for today. It would have to be a minimum of $1,000. Um, yeah, and that's why the market is going to allow for different systems like the At Games, where you can just, if they come out with the driving a wheel, the steering wheel that you can just attach to your existing device. There's always going to be to be considered. Are you trying to appeal to the masses and have people buy one device from you, um, or one or two devices? Most people aren't going to have what's behind me, where you got a row, of arcade games. Most people just don't have that room. Um, but people are going to have to be very selective when they have limited space. So do they go with a multi-cade, or do they go with one cabinet with 4 to 8 games that they really really like? Um, that's the dilemma. And a company like at games, they make one, they make a handful of products that basically do the same things, just give you different form factors to do that. Do you want to stand up? Do you want to sit down? Right? Do you want it connected or wireless? Um, Arcade1Up is going for a totally different market. They're saying, I'm gonna make the cabinets, and whoever buys them buys them. They're gonna buy the ones that appeal to them, uh, and they're only going to make so many cabinets, right? So, and they can always regurgitate these cabinets because everybody doesn't get the opportunity to buy any of these cabinets at the time because either the money's not right at the time, so they're not able to get it, or they delay and then want to get it later, but it's no longer available. So there's always room to re-release these these cabinets. What's Jeff saying here? Or John, I'm sorry. Hey, Carl, do you play pinball on your ALU or just? Yeah, well, see, you can see in the picture, I have the ALP and I have my modified Toy Shock, which today I still play my modified Toy Shock much more, even though it's a smaller screen because it has better games. You see, I got the Bobby Voo to Die For back glass on there, and so eventually I have a PC that I just hadn't had time to work on. So I just moved these two to the back where you see it, so I can get around to the back of that ALP. And so I'm eventually just going to hook up the computer that's in the modified Toy Shock to play on the ALP. But to answer your question, I don't play a lot of pinball on my 1.1 at Games Legends Ultimate because I have two pinball tables. So I don't play a lot of pinball on that ALU because I just have better options to play it. But if I didn't have those, then obviously I would be playing more. So guys, I'm at a half an hour. I wanted to keep this brief. I just wanted to, again, I wanted to test out my new equipment and test out this thing. I was paying for this StreamYard, but I'm not using it that much, so I'm just sticking with the free one for now. Here's another question here. It says, your home arcade organized extremely well. How many more cabinets are you anticipating? So you see, I have this Tempest, which I just put together last week, I believe. I love that. I just did a quick review on that. So now this is the first cabinet that's on the opposite side. So unless I start moving all the way down this line and rearranging my TV, I'm kind of at the point where I have to start making some decisions. I appreciate the kind words here. Oh yeah, people. Oh, they love this thing here. Now the NBA Jams. That's my grandsons, but they live over in Canada and they keep shutting down the border. I hadn't been able to get over there and get that to them. So that's one spot that would be vacant once I get that over to them. And I was hoping to get it done this week because I'm off this week, but they shut down the border again. So this has been very difficult, frustrating. But I am very choosy. You see, I have the Star Wars. That's with the yoke. I got the Arcade. That's with more modern games. I got my modified Galaga that has a real coin door with all the vertical games on it. I have my modified Street Fighter that has a real 2-slot coin door with all the landscaping games or horizontal games. So you can play all those games there. I have my Golden Tee, so you get your trackball and golf. I have my At Games ALU, and I can play my Tron. I can play my dual stick games with that, Battle Zone, all those type of things. I have my two pinballs and now the Tempest. So very selective choice of games, cabinets, so that you get a wide variety of games. Because again, with the Galaga and the Street Fighter, you can almost play just about any of these games on there, except the Street Fighter doesn't have a trackball, so that would. But with the ALU, you got the trackball, the spinner, so you can play any of those games on there. So with those three cabinets, I could play just about anything. But I like having games where cabinets where people can just walk up and play Star Wars, walk up and play golf, walk up and play asteroids and that type of thing. So um, I would love to have a good shooter, and I would love to have a good driving game, a racing game, driving game, not necessarily racing. So those are the two missing, a shooter, and I would love to have a good bowling game. While the ALU, I got a couple of bowling games on there. It's kind of wacky though. I was really excited when Retro Ralph had came across that prototype where it had Silver Strike and Golden Tee. If they came out with that combo, I would instantly sell this Golden Tee and have that uh, bowling and golf on one cabinet. That would be perfect. So I would love to have a great bowling, even though I don't have any interest in the Simpsons bowling. I don't really have an interest in the 4-player games. Um, just too wide. This NBA Jam is just always just a little awkward to me in there in my space. But I would love to have a bowling. I would love to have a shooter, and I have to love to have a driving. Those would be the games I would look to add going forward. Well, yeah, at Games Mini with the rotating screen to make a pinball easy. So yeah, that's a good addition if you um, you know need that and have the space for that, or don't have enough space and want to limit the selection of games that you have. I'm a vertical guy. I wouldn't have this cabinet. I wouldn't have any of these cabinets if it didn't include ability to play Donkey Kong Jr., Pac-Man's, Dig Dug, all my favorites. I play those games more than anything else. Yeah, House of the Dead. Yeah, I think that would be the one I want. Or Time Crisis. Time Crisis, House of Dead. Depending on how the cabinets look and gameplay, it would be a toss up between those two as to what I would get. I don't know if I would have more than one. The T2 shooter, I have no interest in that. That's not something I played the arcade. Really don't have any interest in that. Um, a real, I'm assuming you mean a real physical pinball. No. I like these cabinets because with my modified toy shock, I have 300 arcade games. Now, have I played all 300 of those games? And I know people that have thousands of pinball games. It's outrageous. 300, I never could come close to playing in those. So, do I need 300? No. Um, if if I did buy a physical pinball, it would be the Spider-Man. It would be a Stearns pinball, which blows any of the most of these cabinets away. But I don't know that I would want to deal with the maintenance, to deal with the repairs that's inevitable with a physical pinball. Um, that's a you if you are looking to do that, you just have to recognize that there's going to be issues. It's a physical thing. Things are going to break, lights are going to go out, and all those type of things. And it's a monetary venture, and you're going to eventually have to pay money to keep those things keep the upkeep of those devices. I would love to have a Spider-Man, Stern Spider-Man, as a physical pinball. Super expensive. I don't know if the headache would be worth it. I enjoy going out and putting a few quarters into some pinball cabinets today and playing, enjoying them based on the experience that I've gained with pinball through the digital. So I love the digital. I love the options. I love all the variety that's there. I don't know that I would actually pay for a real physical one due to the size, even though they have a home version, which is a little bit smaller, it's still huge. So again, while I would love to have like a Tekken, love to have like a Donkey Kong full size cabinet, I most likely will never do it just based on the size, the weight, and the age of those cabinets and the upkeep maintenance that would be required. Pete Doss, he probably doesn't even know I'm going live at this point in time. Yeah, those classics, those Stearns are like buying a classic car. You gotta keep some money into it for them to function, and but they're great pieces of they're great machines, man. I would love to have one. Dragon's Lair, Konami Legacy, Daytona, Time Crisis are all on my wish list. Yep, those are some great cabinets. House of the Dead would be my only gun cabinet. Yeah, so I'm really surprised that they would. I understand T2 is a very popular brand, Terminator series, but it just for my age set, that's just not. That wasn't my arcade experience. So I know they have a T2 pinball, which I have on my modified Toy Shock. I play it every now and then, but there's no nostalgic value to it for me. I find that the majority of the pinball games that I play are mostly Stern, because Stern is a company that's still in business, still producing their innovation, and even their older games are way more advanced in the playfield designs and the options that are available in it than those older, Gottlieb tables and things like that. It's just no comparison to those more modern or newer pinball tables to the older pinball tables. So Stern definitely has the heads up on the longevity of play in the pinball. It's not that bad, but Stern gives me warranty parts. Yeah, but even if you get the warranty parts, you yourself have to have the skill set to be able to replace those things. One, determine what the problem is, right? You got to wax those tables tops so that the ball performs correctly. I mean, it's just upkeep to a physical pinball that you wouldn't have on a digital pinball game. If my screen is dusty and my control panels gather some dust, it doesn't affect the play. But as dust get into like the real arcade games or real pinball machines, it will affect it. And as the wax wears away, just if you think about a bowling alley, they have to wax those alleys so that ball performs a certain way. Pinball tables are similar to that. That maintenance is required for you to have the gameplay that you would expect. I just started to collect these type of Arcade1Up games. I am really enjoying the Aliens. What is this game? I don't know. My mind is slipping here. AFM. That acronym is just throwing me off. Try before installing firmware update. I'm impressed with the digital pinball. So I'm assuming you're saying, Michael, here that you try to do the update where you're getting to play all three of the games on the pinball machine. Is that what you're saying? Attack from Mars, yeah. I know it, but it was just escaping me. Yeah, Attack from Mars is definitely one of my favorites. I play that all the time on FX3 on my modified Toy Shock. And there's a bunch of games, arcade pinball tables I really like, but the ones that were designed to take your quarters are just difficult games. Like I was playing the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Really pretty table, but it's just you just lose the ball all the time. It's frustrating. But by far, the Spider-Man Stearns is my favorite. And AC/DC. Oh man, those two. If I just had a cabinet with those two, I wouldn't be too upset. But I'm glad I have the 300. I probably play a good 25 of those cabinets consistently. The rest I pull up just occasionally just to poke around with them. What we can say here, pinball, right? Yeah, that's the same way, Nate. When I go to the real arcade venues, I can play pinball way longer than I have done in 40 years, because of my experience with the digital pinball. So it's a must-have. I think it encourages you to play more real pinball, whether it gets to a level where you'll be willing to pay a few $1,000s to have one in your house, plus the the maintenance on it. I think for most people it's a hard pass. But if you're willing to take on the expense and the maintenance, they're definitely great. And the size and the space requirements, then they're definitely great to have. Yeah, I wish that Stern would do this too, man, to make these tables available, because the reality is it's not going to hurt their business. It's only going to allow their business to grow, for their brand recognition to grow, and also for people to migrate from digital to the real pinball, if they can do that, because as popular as the At Games pinball and the Well Played and Toy Shock and all these companies are, Stern makes much better tables, period. And so if they can get in partner with someone, or even produce them themselves, to make these digital versions of their tables, they can expand their brand awareness and the love for pinball. And I know that's what Gary is in the business to do. I hope that they would do that as well. Yeah, Tech from Mars. Yeah, it was just escaping me. Yep, to be able to add all those games to the Arcade1Up pinball, it's great. I actually was trying to buy one, $500, and when I started looking was just when that what's the guy called, the mystery encoder guy came out. So those guys that were selling them on Facebook Marketplace obviously got the news around the same time, and they either rescinded their, because they just ghosted me. They were interested in selling them, and all of a sudden they were just gone, no other word. So either they kept them and put the mod on them themselves, or they got more offers and just sold it to someone else. Yeah, AC/DC pinball, man, that is one of the best. Like I said, Spider-Man and AC/DC. What makes them such a great tables is the objectives of the game is real. It's easy to identify. It's hard to execute, but easy to identify. It's fun to do. And the music, the sound effects, the speech in them, everything comes together in a perfect package that just makes it fun. A lot of times I'll have my ALP running in the background in those older tables, and it's just that repetitive sound. This drives me crazy. I'll go turn the thing off. Well, I'll just tell Google to turn it off. But I love the AC/DC and the Spider-Man. There's a few other tables that's similar to that the variety and the depth to the table with the sounds, graphics, gameplay, it's just incredible. Really no comparison. Yeah, I saw that Indiana Jones. I think I have 2 tables of theirs. I haven't really played it much. I guess with this coming out, I'll definitely play it. I think one of them has an issue with either the scoreboard doesn't display, or something's wrong with these things. Now, these VPX tables, these are fans that have created these tables, and they made them really close to not. In some cases, they're really close to being accurate. A lot of times, they're just as close as you're going to get. So I've played the Indiana Jones, but there's something wrong with the tables. I can't remember what it is, but I'm looking forward to that coming out. Indiana Jones on the FX3 from Zen. It would make sense for Arcade1Up to release a universal pinball machine, but these things are tricky with licensing. So I don't think anyone currently has the universal license exclusive. They could have them and not be using them. I know Zen had them at one time, but they lost it. So what else are the owners of Universal of those licenses doing with it, right? Make the things available so people can enjoy playing them. I wish they would. It just makes sense. Just picked up Avengers Infinity Quest Pinball. Me and my daughter's new addiction. So what can you explain that? What exactly is that? Is that just the software on the Switch, or that is on the console? What are you playing that on? So and you guys know I'm not familiar with that Quest Pinball. So it's a good It's a good table. But what oh, it's a physical pinball cabinet from Zen or from Stern. I'm sorry. Okay, interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. I hadn't seen that. All right, guys. Well, we're going on an hour. Yeah, I saw that. It's a physical pinball table. Yeah. Pinball is a lot more fun today having played the digital than it ever did was for me in the past. I just couldn't risk the quarters. But hey, if you're paying a few $1,000s for a machine, you're definitely gonna play it. And I like me some pinball. And digital, you know, you don't get that ball bouncing up and hitting the glass. You don't have all these other parts. You can't, you know, bump the machine and get the same reaction, even though the ALP allows you to bump it. You know, it's nothing like the physical game, but the digital has its place. It's definitely is still fun to play. I definitely recommend if you don't have a digital pinball, um, that you at least look into the hobby. Some people take it really serious. They make their own tables. There's a whole lot of forums and groups that, you know, people share. I'm gonna say share, but sometimes those guys are they're really out there. And you have some guys that share, some guys just like bragging and they don't really like sharing stuff. Where they go, oh, they act like they made those tables, and you know, and they act like they didn't get those tables the same way you're requesting them. Right? Somebody gave them to them. They didn't invent them. They didn't create them, but they act real snotty and stuck up in their attitudes in that community. And I understand they're trying to protect the community so that um, the resources that make those things available don't dry up because everybody and their mama is going and talking about it. Because you know how the masses are. When everybody knows about it, they're talking about it. Then it gets to the people that don't want you to have it, right? And so they end up getting cease and desist orders, and now the hobby's dead, right? But the reality is, Arcade1Up, At Games, Toy Shock, none of these companies exist today if people didn't make these ROMs and make these games available. They would have been non-existent today had the communities in the background kept these things alive through the sharing, discussions, and talks about these retro games. So I appreciate them doing so. We have better man caves, game rooms, entertainment options as a result of these companies and a lot of the people's efforts to keep this gaming alive. All right, guys, I appreciate you. I love you guys. Thanks for coming by. Have a happy holiday, happy new year. And until next time, I'll see you on the web. Peace.